Well, hello everybody. My name is Jason Gilbert, and I want to welcome you back to Trek Mission Log. I thank you that you're here, that you're watching. If this is your first time, I thank you for checking this out. What we're doing is analyzing and reviewing every Star Trek adventure ever filmed. Currently, we are in Season 1 of the original series. I'm wondering, can I ask a favor? If you enjoy this content, would you consider subscribing to my channel? It would really help me out immensely. Also, you can check us out on Instagram at Trek Mission Log, and we can interact on that platform. Today, I am going to be reviewing Season 1, Episode 14, titled The Conscience of the King. It aired on December the 8th, 1966. This episode was written by Barry Trivers, produced by Gene L. Kuhn, and directed by Gerd Oswald. Now that we got that out of the way, let's check out this story. At the very start of the episode, we see somebody getting stabbed. The killer is wearing old Earth Victoria era clothing. And as the camera pans out, we see what is happening is in fact a stage play, Macbeth. Kirk is in the audience visiting a friend of his at his friend's request. His friend said that the actor on stage was Kodos the executioner, and he knows that voice very, very well. We then fade into the title sequence. In a captain's log, Kirk states that the ship is on a mission to examine a new synthetic food which would eliminate the famine on a planet named Signia Minor. However, we learn that was a lie to bring Kirk here to help his friend set a trap for Kodos the executioner. Kirk told his friend that Kodos is dead. His friend, Tom, is very adamant that he is alive. He turns his face and we see that he is wearing a partial mask, covering up an atrocity committed against him by Kodos. Tom is planning on having the cast of Macbeth to his place for a cocktail party to set a trap for Kodos. Kirk wants no part of it. Back on the ship, Kirk is doing some research on Kodos the executioner, who was the governor on a planet named Tarsus 4 over 20 years ago. He also was looking up the background information on the actor whom Tom claimed is Kodos. His name is Anton Caridian. We learn that Kodos, when he ruled, had half of the population of Tarsus 4 slaughtered. When looking up the actor Caridian, there's no records of any kind on him until around the same time as Kodos' death. Kirk orders the computer to do a side-by-side display of Kodos and Caridian. There are incredible similarities between the two. He decides to beam down to the cocktail party. At the party, Kirk sees a young lady, an actress from the play, walk in, and of course, Kirk, the womanizer, begins to flirt with her. My guess is that he will be lip-locked with her before too long. Now, she is the daughter of the actor in question, and Kirk indicated that he was hoping to meet her father. We then see them taking a walk, and as they are about to kiss, Kirk notices a dead person. It is his friend, Tom. Kirk brings him back to his wife, and Kirk tells Tom's wife that he will try to find out why he was killed. Kirk calls up to the ship and asks to be connected with a Captain Daly. Daly was in charge of the ship that was going to be picking up the cast of Macbeth to take them to their next planet to perform. Kirk asked him to not come and said that he himself would take them there. On the bridge of the Enterprise, Spock wants to get on their way, but Kirk said that he will be delayed because he thinks that there will be a pickup. He gets word that Caridian's daughter beamed up, and Kirk orders her to be brought to the bridge. In their conversation, Kirk manipulates her to bring the cast aboard the Enterprise and that they would be happy to escort them to their next venue. As a thank you, she said that the cast would perform Macbeth for the crew. After she leaves, Spock asks about it, and Kirk does not answer and orders the ship to be taken to the Panacea colony as soon as the cast of the play gets beamed aboard. Kirk logs on to the ship's computer to find out more information about the survivors of Kodos. We discover that Kirk himself is a survivor, and one of his crew named Riley is also one. At that instant, Kirk orders Spock to transfer Riley to engineering, with no explanation given. Spock goes to see McCoy to ask him if he has noticed anything unusual about the captain. McCoy says he hasn't noticed anything. Kirk is now giving Caridian's daughter a tour of the ship. The flirting between Kirk and her almost never stops. Anyway, it took 20 minutes and 49 seconds into the episode, but the Kirk kiss finally happened. On the bridge, Spock does some comparative research on the ship's computers to try to find out what is going on, since he's getting no answers from the captain. Spock then goes to McCoy with what he finds out, and he relayed the story of Kodos the Executioner. He also stated that Caridian's history begins almost to the day that Kodos disappeared. Kirk and Riley are the only two eyewitnesses left of the atrocities. We then see Riley in engineering, and on the intercom he calls Uhura to ask her to sing him a song to sing his troubles away. And in a very, very strange segment, Uhura sings him a song over the intercom. Now, while Riley is listening to her sing, someone in engineering is sneaking up on him and puts some poison into Riley's drink. Riley then drinks it and begins choking. We then see Riley in sickbay, and Spock said to McCoy that if Riley dies, the only one who can identify Kodos is the captain, and that he would be the next target. Spock and McCoy go in to see Kirk to give him a report, and Spock relays to Kirk what he found out about this whole ordeal. After an argument, Kirk said that he wants justice. McCoy suggested that he wanted revenge. Kirk said he doesn't know for sure if it is Kodos. Spock goes to great lengths to convince Kirk that Caridian is Kodos. Just then, they hear a noise. A phaser has been set to overload, and they are desperately trying to find it. Kirk finds it, and he sends it down a pressure vent chute. When it exploded, it rocked the whole ship. Kirk then goes in to see Anton Caridian to confront him, and outright he asks Caridian if he is Kodos. Kirk then asks him to read something into the ship's recorder so that it can be compared to a voice file they have of Kodos. He reads it, and then he puts the paper down, reciting it from memory. After their discussion, Caridian's daughter walks in. She told her dad to go and rest, and confronts Kirk and asked him to show mercy. In sickbay, McCoy is speaking his report into the computer, and Riley overhears him talking about Kodos, the executioner. Kodos murdered Riley's family years and years ago. We then see the actors performing the play at the ship's theater. Spock shows Kirk the results of the voice recording of Karidian compared with the Kodos voice file. Spock says that it is a match, but Kirk said not an exact match. Meanwhile, Riley has escaped sickbay. Kirk gets a report that a weapons locker has been broken into and orders security to find him. No doubt, Riley wants to kill Kodos. Kirk ends up finding Riley backstage and orders him back to sickbay and takes Riley's phaser. In a different area backstage, Karidian has a discussion with his daughter. He claims he is being tortured by voices from his past, and it is at this point that we discover that his daughter is the one that has been killing the remaining witnesses and tried to kill Riley. And Kirk overhears all of this. Karidian then confesses his crimes as his conscience finally catches up to him. Kirk calls for a guard, and Karidian's daughter steals a phaser and begins to make threats. She is clearly insane. When Karidian tries to subdue his daughter, she accidentally kills him with the phaser. Kirk takes her weapon away, and she cries over her dead father. On the bridge, McCoy gives Kirk his medical report. He said that Karidian's daughter thinks that her father is still alive. She is being taken to a long-term medical facility. Kirk then orders the ship to leave orbit, and the Enterprise heads to its next mission. The Conscience of the King is an episode that could be more than it is. The elements for this to be a great story are there. However, the important plot-moving elements are drowned in minutia and things that really do not matter, making this episode very slow and at times boring. Now, first, the positive elements. The opening sequence was absolutely fantastic. Jim's friend Tom brought him to this play to hear the voice of an actor that he said was Kodos the executioner, and right away we know there's going to be a mystery involved and a puzzle to solve. And it made me very interested to find out all about Kodos and everything that went on. It was a great setup for that. William Sargent, who portrayed Jim's friend Tom, he acted this role beautifully. You could hear the desperation in his voice as he pleads with his friend. It was too bad that he was killed off so early in the episode. I love how Kirk tried to convince his friend that Kodos was dead, but then questioned it in his own mind. And then when he went back to the ship, he had enough doubt in his mind to investigate to see if there was any merit in what his friend was saying. And he saw enough to beam back down. I really liked all of those elements. Another great element was Spock doing his own digging when he wasn't getting the information he requested from Kirk. And even though he and Dr. McCoy don't always see eye to eye, the very first person he consults is McCoy. No doubt he considers McCoy a friend. Also, when it was revealed that Karidian's daughter was the one killing the eyewitnesses, it was very, very intriguing, and I felt it was an interesting plot twist, which I enjoyed. Now to the areas where I will not be so kind. At the cocktail party, as soon as Karidian's daughter walks in the room, the womanizing flirt switch gets turned on in Kirk. Now, although he was using this to try to get more information on her father, it's like he just can't help himself. and the flirting and the banter between these two was almost endless. Very, very soap opera-ish, in fact. And it continued later on the ship, and it ate up a whole lot of screen time. Another aspect that was strange was Kirk's insistence that Riley be moved from his post to engineering without any explanation. If I interpret it correctly, maybe Kirk sent him down there to be away from everyone and everything so that he wouldn't do anything strange and lash out in revenge against Kodos. But anyway, this decision of Kirk almost got Riley killed. While Riley was in engineering, he contacts Uhura over the intercom and asks her to sing a song to him to help him overcome the sorrows of being alone in engineering. And so we have this song coming over the intercom. And although she did a brilliant job singing it, the whole scene was a little strange to me. Also, very noticeable is the fact that Sulu isn't there. Scotty isn't there. We see Uhura briefly. We see Rand for all of 3 seconds, and we still have yet to meet Mr. Chekhov. Now, I've done the math here. Interesting. There are 79 original series episodes. This is episode 14. That means we are now 17.72% through the original series without meeting one of its key characters. Very interesting. He will turn up, though, don't worry. Now, this episode could have been much better than it was. The mystery and puzzle are there throughout, but this episode gets sidetracked with a lot of different things. And so for this reason, I give The Conscience of the King 2 out of 5 Starfleet insignias for awesomeness. Thank you for joining me this week on Trek Mission Log as I reviewed The Conscience of the King. And I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this review. I would love to read your thoughts on this episode, so please feel free to drop a comment below. Just let's remain respectful of each other and let's keep the comments profanity free. Now, I am very, very excited about next week as for the very first time we meet the Romulans. And I will be reviewing the episode titled Balance of Terror. And it is, in my opinion, one of the greatest Trek episodes ever produced. And I hope you'll join me. Again, please consider subscribing to my channel. It will mean so much to me. Until next week then, live long and prosper.